just finished practice, and I've been thinking, right? You might hear me say this a lot, but I think as an athlete, you are your own little business. But honestly, you don't even have to be an athlete. I think if you think of yourself as your own little business, that framing personally has helped me navigate my life. And for example, what do businesses do, right? And how does that relate to me? I'm a professional athlete, pro rugby player, been competing in sport at a high level for like 20 years. I'm actually a crossover athlete. I was the first female to play university men's tackle football in Canada, and then I transferred to pro rugby with zero rugby experience, but years of football experience, competing with men my whole life. When I think of, okay, how am I supposed to build? How am I supposed to make my dreams come true? One thing is investing in yourself. This sounds cliche, and you might hear people talk about it. Sometimes, I think as a young person, you don't even have to be young, but sometimes when you're somebody trying to figure it out, it's like, what is a waste of spending versus an investment? And I kind of like to think of an investment as something that, what do I think of an investment as? I kind of imagine it as like me just throwing cash away versus me giving cash to something and having a bigger return on it. I can use sports as an example because I'm in sports. I'm in the business of sports. If I pay for a speed coach, then I should learn the skills and acquire the skills to run faster, to have more efficient form, etc., etc. That's the reason you hire a speed coach. When I tore my third ACL, it's about a year rehab process. So I invested in a proper strength and conditioning coach. I made a bunch of phone calls to a bunch of strength and conditioning coaches, and they're all giving me their pitch, but I wanted to go with somebody that I felt was qualified for my third knee so that this wouldn't happen again. That's why I'm investing in an S&C coach, not just to recover, not just to heal the injury, but to give me the tools so it's less likely to happen again. And sometimes things are expensive, and this is the dilemma, right? Do I pay for this thing, and am I going to get something out of it? But ultimately what something is I think it's the way you think and how you as your own business operates. I'll use a real life example. The reason why I'm paying for that session is, yeah, it's an investment, but this is somebody who spent years learning a skill. I'm paying so I can learn how to do it in one session or 2 sessions. Or at least I'm paying so I can learn the skills that are required for me to learn it on my own and to continue so I can perfect it, rather than me spending 10 years trying to figure out the skill. So I think that's the thing, and that makes the difference, right? And I think this is an important thing to think about. There is a difference between blowing your money away versus an investment. And okay, what type of athlete do you want to be? What type of game do you want to have? What type of things do I not know and am I not aware of that can make me better, wiser, a better teammate, a better athlete, a better career, help me make smarter decisions on the field, off the field, exposing myself to new environments and new people, creating new connections. And sometimes the course or the teaching or whatever is not good. And I think you learn from experiences and talking to many different types of people and many different types of coaches. Everyone's trying to sell you something. So I think you learn through trial and error. Basically, I think you learn along the way what investments are actually worth making. For example, if you're trying to find a good S&C, if you have a phone call with like 5 or 10 different strength and conditioning coaches, you'll get a feel, you'll get a vibe of, you'll start to understand certain patterns. Oh, okay, this person is probably not that good. Or, oh yeah, this person's legit. Sometimes investing is a bit scary and intimidating, especially I think when you're first starting out or when you're young, or I totally understand the financial part of certain things. I'm not saying blow your money, but if you realize that you are your own business.
Forgot to mention, you are your own business, so how do you want to scale? What does scale and growth look like to you? And based on that, you can make certain decisions.
Part of your growth is contingent on new environments, new experiences, new ways of thinking, new methods. Then nothing's a waste. You learn about these services, you learn about how these things work, and one day, somebody might be paying you for a skill that took you 10 years to acquire. It's a cycle, it's a flow. I don't regret the people that I've met and the things that I've learned and the things that I used to invest in me, because my mind got wider and I got exposed to different things and different people. Yeah, so I just think that framework of sometimes you gotta invest. You can't be cheap. Sometimes you stay small. You stay small sometimes. No matter how great an athlete you are. And it doesn't have to be just athletics. It could be anything. These principles apply to everything. I could be wrong. It's just something to think about, and I'm figuring it out as I go. That's so far what I've noticed over a 20-year period of being committed to one field. I forgot to add this in earlier, but when you get good at the game, like when you start understanding how to be resourceful and how you are your own little business, you can actually you start to create things that might be a waste of spending into opportunities. First example that comes to my mind, if there's a product and you're like, it's a good product, but it's a bit expensive, why don't you try getting the product, DMing the people, and then making a review about it? They might like the review, they might like the content that you make, and you could build a relationship from there.